All right, 10 things that you lose during a spiritual awakening. I'm not actually sure if it's losing anything. I feel like it's gaining, but definitely during the moment, it feels like a loss. So let me tell you a little bit about my story and then we'll get into it. So my spiritual journey started about 25 years ago when I was in a serious car accident. I woke at that time and a series of events occurred after it that were, beyond this world. I'm going to refer to my higher power as spirit throughout this. You can insert whatever name you want, God, the Oracle, it don't matter, Buddha, whatever you like. So basically what I boil many of the losses of a spiritual awakening down to is spirit trying to remove anything that's in your way of ascending. Toxic habits, toxic relationships, barriers, work situations, people, places, things that are not serving your higher purpose or serving, what you're here to do, what you're here to bring, they will be removed. So there's a few ways that this can go. You can work with spirit if you're listening and remove things from your life that are being pulled away. You can try to ignore it and just sit on it and they will get ripped from your life. Unfortunately, that's happened to me a lot. Or things can gently be taken out. So enlightenment is the breaking down of everything that you feel to be true. It can come on through many different situations. It can be through a near-death experience, through somebody that you really love dying, a divorce, a cancer diagnosis, health issues. It can come through an ayahuasca experience or a mushroom experience. It can come through, there's just so many ways that spiritual awakenings can happen. You can also bring it on yourself. All you need to do is ask. Get in a meditative state and ground yourself and ask. I will warn you that what is going to occur after is probably a major shakeup of your life. For myself, this has changed everything, especially the last 4 years have been a massive spiritual awakening. And, I hardly recognize my life and myself compared to pre-2018. So I'm going to get into 10 things you're going to lose. Number 1, you are going to stop watching the news. Intuitively, you are going to feel a recoil from it. It will be anxiety provoking. You will feel low vibrations to do with the news, and you will understand and know that what you are hearing is propaganda and not real. Number 2, you will stop eating certain foods. A lot of the time, red meat goes, processed foods, you will definitely pull back on all of these things, sugar, refined sugars, you will no longer enjoy. Some people will end up getting autoimmune if they're not listening to their body. You will not be able to stomach them. You might become lactose intolerant, these sorts of things if you aren't listening to what your body's saying. But absolutely, you will stop wanting to consume certain things. This is to do with the vibration of certain foods and the lower vibration of meat and of sugars, and that it'll just weigh your body down. And when you're in ascension and when you're in a spiritual awakening, that's not what you want. That's not it. Number 3. You will move away from the material world. You'll no longer have any interest in material items, except we do live in a 3D world, so there are things that we all need to survive here. But showboating and competing with anybody for any kind of materialistic items are definitely going to go. Number 4, alcohol, drugs, vaping, smoking, that sort of stuff. These things will be pulled away from your life. They're either eradicated completely or used very sparingly. For myself, I wasn't listening and I was still vaping and I got a chronic sinusitis, and I had absolutely no choice but to give it up. And, I love smoking. I loved it, but it no longer works and no longer fits my vibration. There's no faster way to lower your vibration than to drink alcohol. And during your spiritual awakening, you'll feel this, you'll intuitively know this, you'll physically understand it, and you will definitely move away from mind and mood altering chemicals, drugs like that. They just will no longer fit in your life. Number 5. Fiction, novels, Hollywood movies, stuff like that, they are going to lose their interest, any appeal to them. you will want to read nonfiction. If you read anything, you're going to be very careful into what you're allowing into your mind, because you begin to understand that about the indoctrination of this society and the world, and you will not want to consume anything that has negative vibes, negative connotations. You won't want to put that. And you don't really have time to be reading fiction anymore in your life, because you just sort of start to feel like it's a bit of a waste of time. As for movies, you can see symbolism, and like my daughter was just, what was she watching? She was watching Shameless the other day, and they're like robbing banks and having fights wearing masks, and when you start to begin to see I don't mean robbing, like, I don't mean a face mask, like if you robbed a bank, you would wear a mask like that. I mean, they were wearing their paper masks, and not on purpose. They were wearing them because they were social distancing, okay? Sorry, that one's funny. I can't do it. Okay, which one was that? Number 5. Number 6. You're going to move away from toxic relationships, whether it is marriages, friendships, or even family. You, at times, won't even have to move away from them. They'll move away from you. You won't, and this doesn't mean a drastic, horrible ending for anybody, but it's when you're vibrating at different levels, and and nobody's better than anybody, and that's not what I'm saying. It's just when you're vibrating at different levels, you tend to separate. So your family may stop understanding you. There's a potential of becoming the black sheep. Your beliefs and your ideas change as you evolve and enlighten in this world. So you'll look to have kind of a changeover of friendships, relationships, and family members. And if you're lucky, hopefully you don't. All right, number 7. You lose your reliance, or that feeling of safety over the government and societal norms. So if you spent your life kind of believing in sort of like the left wing or the right wing or whatever, those start to fall away. You start to kind of see that it's 2 wings to one bird. You lose the sense that big pharma and that the government are here to look after us, and that our best interest is is their agenda. You start to see the bigger picture to that, and personally, to me, that was one of the hardest. Like, I get even emotional thinking about it, because I had such a liberal perspective, left-wing perspective, and I really, really thought that the government was here to take care of me. And when that happened, and when I realized I spent multiple days in bed, it was very upsetting. But, it's another part of ascending, and it's another part of waking up. And from that came independence for me. I know I don't have to rely on anybody. Nobody needs to look after me. I'm my own leader. Number 8, you may start to lose interest in your job, or you may start to feel a massive pull away from your job. This can be very hard for some people, because they've got an education, they spent many years building up this, and it's a very tight squeeze. This is one of those that I would say, that if you're feeling that you would maybe take some time and try to set up something else, because it will consistently just get worse over time, because you are not in the right path if that's what's happening, and spirit is trying to... Right. Number 9, alternate forms of medicine, whether it's Chinese medicine, First Nations medicine, any type of medicine alternate to what Big Pharma uses. You might come into a realization that Big Pharma is essentially about money. And obviously there are some things that are fantastic, and science is amazing, but I'm just saying you may find alternate cures for things in your life. You may also go down a road where you want to try out psychedelics, ayahuasca, mushrooms, lose fear, because the government has put a lot of fear into us about alternate medicines, and you may definitely start to realize the power of alternate medicines, and take a look down that road. Number 10, you lose all fear of death. This was one of the later ones to happen for me. people do experience it from a near-death experience. They will immediately lose all fear of death, because you do begin to realize that we are spirit souls, that we can never be destroyed, that this is just one of many lives that we have, and that we are always connected, and always connected to our loved ones. Of course, losing a loved one is always a very painful experience, but you do have that sense and feeling that and that knowing that you are never apart. So final one is losing all fear of death. All right, so there you have it. As you can see, it's a lot of things on this list that are about releasing toxic connections, moving forward, getting obstacles out of your way. We are in a spiritual awakening. We're in the Great Awakening right now. What took me 25 years is taking people 3 to 6 months. My main journey actually started about 4 years ago, but what we're seeing now is people waking up just like that, and all of these things catapulting and happening. A lot of times they are kind of preparing, almost not knowing, with things like quitting drinking or getting out of relationships, and things are just occurring in their life, and things are being set up, and then bam, they wake up just like that. So we are in a time in our lives, we're in a time in this universe that is an amazing time to be here. We are in a major spiritual awakening, and I am happy to be here on this journey with all of you, because you wouldn't be here right now if you didn't have some belief or some feeling or some thought, and if you weren't ascending yourself. So peace and love.